on God of War. Oh god, it was another one of them Jehovah Witnesses. I instantly regretted my decision. No, you fool. Don't you see? You just activated my trap card. Welcome back, friends. This is part 2 of my God of War boy only series. If you didn't watch part 1, pause this video, go watch part 1, and come back to join the party. We'll be waiting for you. Anyway, we went through a lot in the last episode. There were some funny moments, some scary moments, some questionable moments, and some heartbreaking moments. But at the end of the day, we just gotta keep trudging along. It was time to leave Alfheim once and for all, and although I was upset that we didn't have our new slave, defeating that traitor gave my boy the ability to spawn ghost wolves. This was actually a big help for the journey, especially against the Jeremies. We were finally able to move the Black Breath out of our way thanks to our adventure through Alfheim, and life was looking real good. It was more of the same, really. We'd continue on ahead, encounter some enemies, Boy would take care of them while I cowered in a corner, and I, yet again, became friends with another barrel. I upgraded my boy some more since it was kind of pointless to upgrade myself, and here we came across a big wooden device with wheels.
It moved! And we're stuck. Cards don't touch the...
I see that. There. Run, boy! Wait for me, boy!
The troll fight was so goddamn easy. I mean, Atreus was absolutely destroying him. My boy was not a man you wanted to tussle with. He was so powerful that he was even starting to scare me. Actually, let me take that back. This complete and utter failure of a boy couldn't even do the slightest bit of damage to the lightning dragon. Them knuckles were impenetrable, so I had to man up and protect my young lad. 'Twas not a fight I wanted to do, 'twas a fight I had to do.
Can you kill something that big?
No, let's leave.
Oh, shit!
Since Atreus isn't involved in this fight, there's not really a point in me talking about it. As useless as my little lad was during this fight, he actually became more useful by the end of the fight because we now had electric arrows, baby. These bad boys were my new secret weapon, and goodness were they ever effective. The blue arrows would always have a place in my heart, but it was time to move on to bigger and better things. And heck yeah, we were finally at the top of the mountain. I could taste sweet victory just beyond that stone wall, and I was so glad that this wacky adventure was finally about to be behind us. That is, until I saw them goddamn Jehovah Witnesses again. They were asking about me and the boy, and Mimir turned into a real frigging jerk to get them to leave.
You have nothing to offer me, so take your questions, take your threats, take these two worthless wankers, and piss off!
Mimir was gonna pay for his rudeness with his head. Since I was being a little bit of a puss on this mission, you know, Atreus was really the balls of the whole operation. I brought Mimir along to badmouth the enemies.
A hot dog is technically a sandwich.
Fair enough.
It was time to return to the witch's turtle house so that Mimir's head could be revived. One minute everything was fine and everyone was chill, but then Freya randomly flipped the heck out when she saw that boy had green arrows in his quiver. I was about ready to slam this hoe into the next dimension if she took one step closer to my boy, but luckily she instantly cooled down and told my son to take her arrows instead. I told her not to talk to my boy like that again, and that if she ever even thought about smacking him, I'd destroy her. But then she pulled the ultimate Uno reverse.
Are you really going to lecture me about that?
This was clearly a load of barnacles, and my boy and I left that place forever. I wouldn't be surprised if she pulled a knife on me later with her bipolar ass. Next on our list of activities was to speak to the almighty world serpent. The little cutie gave us a little ride for whatever reason, which allowed us to enter into the Frozone. Before we went to get the chisel of raw masculine power, I decided to do a few side missions and events to further upgrade and perfect my boy. That's when the jealousy started taking over. Was I really gonna let this small human become more powerful than me? What if he turned on me? What if I put all of my gamer points into archery and then all of a sudden, I found myself without the lad's help? But no, I had faith in my boy. He was a good lad and I knew I could trust him. Atreus and I put on our mitts and coats and threw ourselves into my motherland, Canada. We were attacked by some good old Canadian beavers on steroids, but we just hunted them the same way we do in Canada. Of course, we fought in a death arena, but that's boring. We rode a giant hammer down from the heavens, but that's also boring. I'd rather talk about how I got there, aka the magical elevator. This is where I thought the run was over. Even though I already failed multiple times in the previous episode, I can safely say that this was the most difficult part of the challenge. Why? Because it's timed. And my boy is also timed. He slowly recharges arrows over time, and if we don't defeat all enemies before time runs out, we plummet to our deaths into the endless abyss. So we fought. I told Atreus to equip his electric arrows, set his hounds loose, and watch the anarchy unfold. We had 3 waves to get through, so this would definitely be a tricky one. The first round was decent, and we got through it with lots of time to spare. 2 rounds left. This round, we were cutting it friggin' close. There was one big boy left, and the floor started collapsing. Boy was low on arrows, and I was low on motivation, and I knew all we could do was pray. By my estimates and calculations, it was clear that we weren't gonna make it. Get him, boy! Boy, don't make me give you the belt! I don't wanna fucking die! Ah! No, really though, as tough as this part was, I was eventually able to get through the final 2 stages in the nick of time. This wouldn't have been possible without me taking a few hours to do some side missions to upgrade my boy, or if I had been on a higher difficulty. Easy mode for the win, baby! I'd like to tell you that my son and I teamed up and epically defeated the sons of the God of Thunder. That we went in there hand in hand and slapped those men around until they begged for mercy. But that'd be a goddamn lie. I sent my boy forward and watched with a smile on my face as my son got totally destroyed. He actually did pretty well against these gods. My heart grew 3 sizes that day as I realized Atreus was stronger than he looked. Sure, he couldn't totally defeat these guys by himself, and for some reason I had to hit them each 3 times to get them into their next phases, but it's pretty impressive that the only amount of work I had to do with these guys was give them a total of 6 knuckle sandwiches. Who knew that electric arrows would be such a good offense against gods of lightning? They're not gods, Dante, they're demigods. Thank you, I appreciate the factual information. Unfortunately, this fight did have me step in for my young lad multiple times, but that shouldn't be surprising. Do I ever really complete any of my challenges? Okay, so my son pretty well defeated these 2 gods all by himself. I mean, come on. And he started coughing out blood. Probably because he was double teamed by 2 beefy boys, but that's besides the point. Speaking of beefy boys, have you seen the voice actor for Kratos? Look at the meat on this lad.
Since when can you kill a god?
Well, you see, I get you to do most of the work, and then I take credit at the end. The 2 runic summons I used the most throughout this playthrough were the wolves and the crows. I didn't even really bother testing the other 50,000 summons I could have used. We went to Muspelheim next, and funnily enough, we were actually able to get through the first 4 stages without much of a problem. We were only forced to leave once we reached the challenge where enemies' health quickly regenerated because Boy couldn't shoot his arrows fast enough to kill them. I found out we could summon the spectral wolves and that they could throw enemies from the top of the cliff, but this didn't work on actual wolves, unfortunately. So big oof, but at least I was able to get a sick chest plate out of it. Sometimes, son, you make me a happy man. Thank you for the chest plate. Everything was going according to plan. All we had to do now was go to Tyr's vault, find our way to Jotunheim Tower, and we could finally spread my wife's ashes like butter on toast. But there was only one problem. Modi attacked us from out of nowhere and started giving me a taste of my own medicine. My son tried helping me, but horribly failed. God damn it, Atreus! Let me show you how a real man does it. Pure masculine energy poured through my veins, but my boy wasn't as lucky. He had fallen ill. There was only one thing left to do. Go back to the witch's house. Go back there after she tried to tell me how to raise my boy. But what choice did I have? Atreus needed me now more than ever. So I carried Atreus's body all the way back to Freya's and calmly asked for help.
Freya! Open the door! Woman, do you hear me?
Go away!
We are leaving, boy.
There is a rare ingredient found only in Helheim. The keeper that protects the Bridge of the Damned. I need its heart.
Jesus Christ! I was expecting, like, Advil or something. Sounds like a lot of... Sounds like a lot of... Sounds like a lot of hoopla just to cure the boy's slight fever. So off I went to find the heart of the scariest demon in hell. Seemed a little excessive to me if I'm being honest. And that's when I saw it. The girliest looking boat in all of Midgard. There was no way in hell I'd get in that thing. I'd lose respect from any woodland creatures that happened to see me in it along the way. Was it really worth saving my son if I had to sit in such a girly boat? What would Mimir think of me? I almost decided to walk home, but Freya told me that time was of the essence.
Fine.
Since I knew I couldn't complete this challenge without my young boy, I decided to finally step into the damn boat. I tried doing a cool manly pose so that if anyone saw me, they wouldn't think I was a total loser. But who was I kidding? It wasn't fooling anyone. I might as well have been wearing a dress. 2 minutes later, I was finally out of that nightmare, but at what cost? Now, of course, this entire hell region I had to do without my boy. That should have been obvious when he clicked on the video. But let's have a little rundown of what happens. I grabbed my Blades of Chaos, walked down the loneliest path in the universe, tried my best to warm up a few fellow snowmen, did some surgery on the beefiest boy in hell, and watched the little blue man disappear from existence. It was time to return to my boy.
Back of your hand.
Mind your tongue.
I give this boy enough backhands throughout the day. Don't tell me how to raise my boy. Atreus was now awake, thanks to my hard work, and I was really starting to question the witch's methods. I mean, all she did was make the boy some chicken noodle soup. I could have done that without the demon's heart. I was getting so sick of Freya and her bullshit.
We are leaving, boy.
But
Now.
You're welcome.
Tyr's vault was pretty simple. You may be thinking that the double troll fight was difficult and that I spent a long time on it, right? And yeah, it was hard. Hard not to laugh at how easy it was. I mean, look at that. Thank the Lord for electric arrows. I literally beat this part in under 2 minutes, which gave me enough time to have an emotional moment with my son. He was finally ready for the best tool in his arsenal.
Yes, boy. Take it. We might need to butter bread somewhere in our travels.
You know how Kratos can throw his axe and at any time it can zoom back to him? Well, Boy was kinda like that too. Now these parts I had to be careful with. See these spooky creatures? Well, they aren't very difficult to deal with normally. They're actually probably the easiest enemies to defeat in the game. So why am I talking about them? If just one of them clings onto me, I'm not able to press circle to throw them off because the explosion will kill others in the area. And Boy can't save me because for some reason he thinks I can deal with these creatures myself. So if just one of the dozens of creatures finds its way onto my back, I'm screwed. I dealt with this problem the same way I dealt with every problem on this journey, by running in circles and screaming as Atreus dealt with the demons. That way, the only thing that got hurt was my dignity. That's when we came across Modi. He was crying and blubbering all over us and I was kind of getting sick of it.
Pull your weight or we go home. What are you doing? Pull your weight or we go home.
That knife was for buttering bread.
haven't you been teaching me to kill?
I've been teaching you to butter bread. I teach you to butter bread, yes, but in defense of yourself, never as an indulgence.
Nobody cared about him anyways. What's the difference?
There are consequences to buttering bread!
Why? How do you know? How do you know?
Lord, give me strength. We traveled through the mountain a bit more, defeated some spooky scary skeletons and some ogres, and we finally made it to the top of the mountain. He can be a little sweetheart and a bundle of love, but you all have to admit, during this part of the game he becomes a real piece of shit. But before I could do anything I'd regret later, Child Services tackled me out of nowhere and started beating the heck out of me. Baldur couldn't stop me from teaching my boy a lesson though. Atreus had had enough of me pushing him around and decided to defend himself. My surprise was immeasurable, but at the end of the day, I guess I deserved it. Baldur buttered my son's bread, I chased him off of an endless abyss, and I took advantage of Baldur's slow reaction time. Baldur bent me over the nearest table and told me that the full weight of Asgard would come crashing down on me. Reminded me of my prison days. So we went through the portal, I told my son I loved him, and we got through the ship segment pretty easily. I'm gonna skip to the end. Just know that everything from Baldur stealing my boy up until the end was able to be done boy only. Y'all know how it goes. We travel inside of the World Serpent on the quest for Mimir's Eye. We get spit back out because of Baldur, and holy moly, Freya was standing right next to us.
Freya, we can still trust her, right?
Until we know for certain, keep your distance.
The seawater birthed out a beautiful baby boy, which was my cue to sick my boy on him. It was an epic battle, and I stood on the sidelines while Atreus slowly whittled down Baldur's health. It was taking a long time, but it was definitely doable. I would say that the toughest part was probably when Baldur had the fire powers and Freya was shooting her little minions at me. Atreus was still available during this part, but it was tough for him to aim at Baldur with all of the bodies around. Luckily, these creatures didn't hurt me when they jumped on me, so all I would do was wait for Baldur to attack me when I was grabbed and I'd instantly be set free. Atreus and I finally got the better of this madman, and because fall damage doesn't exist in Midgard, I thought it was appropriate to kidnap Baldur all the way back down to the ground. After about half an hour on this single boss fight, I had Baldur right where I wanted him. Except, he seemed to be enjoying it. Baldur, That better be a dagger in your pants, you sick freak. I will say, it's pretty interesting how when you're beating this guy up, every prompt you do is for Atreus. Are they getting us used to playing as him? God of War 5, anyone? I tried my best to choke the life out of this nuisance, but it just wasn't enough. I really wanted to show him I was not to be tussled with. So I picked him up, gave a victory screech, whistled a sweet tune into his ear, and ended this journey the same way it started. I told my son how much I loved him, made some intense eye contact with Freya, and finally spread my wife's ashes on the tallest peak in all the realms. 'Twas a good day. So, was I able to beat God of War with only my boy? It came close, but ultimately, no, I couldn't. Here's a list of all